The countdown has begun. We're almost ready to start Lesson 10, Part 1. Hey, Bob Snipes. Thanks for following. Hublug 2012, thanks for following. You guys make 50. I'm going to have to mark that, but thank you so much. And thank you for joining us tonight. Oh, that's outstanding. Wow, didn't even get started. So, guys, good news. We just got 50, I believe. So I can take that goal off of there from now on. Yeah, we just had 2 new followers, and that makes 50. Hey, Chris, I'm going to say some highs to people as they come in. And because we're going to start the lesson, and I'm always learning. Yeah, I'm always learning. And so one of the things I felt like I learned the last couple of lessons we did was that rather than say hi to everybody as they come into the chat and as they show up, interrupting the lesson, I'm going to make sure that I finish the thoughts of the lesson. Then I'll say my highs, and then we'll get back to gameplay or reviews or lessons. All right. So if I don't say a hi right away to somebody, any of you guys, just let them know it's because I'm going to make sure I get through the lesson so we don't stall out. All right. So let's talk about the lesson. Let's get it started. You know we start on time. We don't always finish on time because we can run late. Hey, thanks. See, I did it again. I need to stop doing that. All right, so focus on the lesson. The lesson for tonight. Tonight is our last tactics in the opening. Now, these tactics don't always happen in the open. They happen in the middle game. They happen in the end game. But these are tactics we're looking for as part of our opening prep. And just to remind you, with our opening prep, and this is only for my students, anybody, you guys could do whatever you want, but I recommend for my students, and what we've been doing with the students is having them only move center pawns unless they have a really good reason. And we say unless they're provoked. We want to focus on only moving our center pawns in the opening, during the opening, develop our pieces as fast as possible, get our king to safety, part of the opening, and then we can worry about tactics and finding tactics and attacks. Now, along with that, we've talked about free candy, and I have something to show you guys later if you remind me, but I found a puzzle basically in lead chess for every one of our tactics. I found puzzles for free candy. So if you still suffer from the malady of giving away free candy, right? We have a lot of us that do. If that's still a problem, there are puzzles specifically for free candy. Now, they didn't name it free candy, but you'll see it. I'll show it to you. You can use that to get better, to stop, one, to see the free candy, but also hopefully not to give away the free candy. They don't have any puzzles to avoid giving away free candy, where you're not supposed to just make a bad move, right? That's just not there. All right, so we're going to look at those for free candy also. But we are also thinking about, why did my opponent make the last move they made? So even like on the puzzle that we're looking at on the board, you have to say, okay, why did he do that? Well, the only thing I can see is he frees the rook this way, frees the bishop this way, and he wins a pawn. Okay, so you do want to think about why your opponent made their last move. Try to figure it out. And this is why, if you're getting serious and want to get better at chess, now, we're not talking about just having fun. Having fun, play whatever you want. Play 5-minute chess, play bullet chess, do whatever you want. But if you want to get better at chess, you want to play slower games. And when I say slower, it doesn't have to be correspondence. It doesn't even have to be classical. It has to be at least 15 minutes and with or without an increment, right? So at least 15 minutes. That would be the fastest I'd want you to play. And why? Because you want to have the time to think about, why did my opponent do the move they did? What should I do in reply? Is it a mistake? Or did they have a plan, and can I thwart that plan? Do I need to do something about that plan? All these thoughts have to go through your head, as well as making sure you're not giving away free candy, as well as developing your pieces as fast as possible, getting your king to safety, as well as finding tactics and avoiding tactics against you. So to do all these things, almost every move, it helps you a whole lot if you have some time. So if you're playing bullet, you don't have time for that. I watch IMs play bullet all day. And all they do is, a lot of them play bullet. The Botez sisters, fun watch, not for kids. language. But fun two sisters, but they love playing bullet, and they're pretty good at bullet. They're better at bullet than they are at slower speeds at their level. They're pretty high up there. But you watch them play. They pre-move most of their moves. Most of their moves are pre-moves. They are not looking at and analyzing why their opponent made the move they made. They don't have time for that. It's all tactics, attack, and see if you can win, and see patterns and win a game real quick. It's like doing Puzzle Rush, or in Lee Chess, Puzzle Storm. It's Puzzle Storm and Puzzle Rush are fine, by the way, for seeing those tactics faster, which are good for those type of games. But if you want to get better, if you want to make works of art, which chess allows you to do, allows you to make works of art, you need to play a little slower. So 15 minutes is the fastest that I recommend. By far, 15 minutes should be your fastest time that you play at. All right, so we want to look at all these things we just talked about, right? Another one, I don't want to forget it, is can we play Chase the Queen, or can we play Chase the King? Throwing a check in that helps you develop, throwing an attack at a queen that helps you develop, or helps you expand, or helps you gain space, or helps you control the center, or give your opponent weak pawns. Those are great opportunities. Chasing the queen, chasing the king, chase the monarchy around the board, that can be a very good, simple tactic way to play. When it's allowed, when they give it to you. So if they don't castle, chase the king around. If the queen comes out early, chase the queen around. You can do these things. You have to do it with a purpose, though. We don't want to do it for nothing. We don't want to just be throwing checks because we could throw a check and we actually help our opponent. One of our themes we've talked about, and we're going to have to do a whole lesson on it, guys. One of the themes we've talked about is not helping our opponents improve their position. And so we have to be wary of just throwing out checks for no reason, or attacks for no reason, or pushing a piece in a spot that encourages our opponent to make a good move. So I know that sounds weird, but that's very important as you're climbing the ladder of being able to play better chess. You need to be aware when you are helping your opponent improve their position, and you need not to do that. All right. So then we did all this. Yes, we did all that. And that was like week 1 through 5. Then we are covering tactics. And we want you to look for tactics in your games. We want you to actively see if you can find these tactics. The biggest problem a lot of beginners have is free candy. But after that is they don't develop. But after that is that when they get developed and they didn't give away any free candy and their king is safe, they go, oh, what do I do now? And we're going to talk about plans. And plans involve pawn structures and understanding of strategic plans and positional play. Not always exciting, sometimes boring, sometimes exciting, depending on your outlook. You might think it's exciting. Most people find it boring because they like to attack and take things. But that's later, right? And we're just trying to get you from below 1,000 to 1,000 to 1,100 to 1,200 to 1,300. Just climb that ladder to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm ready for this positional strategic stuff. Give me that. So first, we're trying to give you a stepwise process of getting there. And that's why you don't move anything but your center pawns to start. Later, you will move other pawns. And once you've fully developed your pieces and get your king to safety, you can even expose your king by shoving those pawns if it's an attack you want to do. You did your due diligence, you developed your pieces. Now, the queen is the last one normally to develop, but sometimes we move the queen before we castle so that we can castle to queen side, long, or castle either side. So the queen may or may not be developed when you're ready to launch an attack. But then again, maybe even you only have 3 pieces developed, but your opponent's done nothing but move pawns. You've seen those kind of players. So you may launch an attack even earlier. If you're ahead by 2 pieces or more in development, and remember, we count castling as a developmental move. So if you're ahead 2 to nothing, or 2 more than your opponent, start looking for attacks. And when we look for attacks, what's the best kind of attacks? Tactics. Tactical opportunities. Tactical opportunities. So we started with the pin. The most frequent one that we found so far in all of our exercises is the pin. pin comes up over and over and over again. Opportunities to pin with a bishop, with a queen, with a rook. There's opportunities to pin pieces. So we use it. Absolute pins, understanding that the piece that is in an absolute pin, meaning that is pinned to the king, cannot move, cannot legally move, nowhere, not going anywhere. That piece is stuck. So even a better pin. Then we talked about discovered attacks. And discovered attacks are like a pin because you move your own piece and you discover that there's a piece behind it under attack. In a pin, if they move their piece, they discover that their piece is being taken off. Because most times, in fact, every time, a pin pins a piece to another. Either it's an undefended piece behind it, it could be of equal value, but usually it's of greater value. So usually we pin knights to queens, we pin a knight to a king, but we've seen that you could pin pieces, even pawns can be pinned. You know, those gorgeous pins along this diagonal where this pawn can't move because the king is sitting here and the bishop is keeping that pawn from moving, and we see them push the pawn and the queen just takes the pawn because that pawn can't move. So glorious pins even against pawns. Then we talked about the double attack or the fork. Very common, very opportunistic. Knights are awesome at it. Knights are like the fork king of the world, right? The knight is like made to just double attack. And it's such a weird pattern, almost a circle. The closer you get that knight to the center of the board, the more powerful and the more spots it hits. So we want our knight towards the center, but we're looking for those double attacks. Queens are great at double attacks. Bishops and rooks, they do double attacks, just not as well. Pawns even do double attacks, right? They can fork. Now, they can only fork two pieces. While your bishop might fork more than two, but usually the bishop is in line already with one of the pieces you're attacking. But sometimes when it takes off a pawn or a piece, then it reveals that it's also forking and double attacking more than one piece. But a knight is still so special. You can attack 3, 4, up to 8 pieces at the same time. Knights are awesome. And then, like I said, strange patterns. All right, so we did that. We did double attacks. Then last week we did remove the defender. So when you find a piece that's only protected once or protected equal time to you, right? So you have a piece that you're attacking twice and it's protected twice. If you could remove one of those defenders, then you're attacking twice and it's only protected once. You can win material. And if a piece is protected only once and you can remove the defender, you can win that piece. If you're attacking it, of course. You're always attacking it. So we did remove the defender. Now we're about ready to end. I was tempted to end. And Spock, LLNP, said, no, you cannot leave out the double check. He loves the double check. So I said, okay, we will do the double check, but if we're going to do the double check, which is very rare, we also should do skewers, kind of rare, and we should do trapped pieces. So we're going to do all three tonight, all three together at 9 o'clock, 1 hour from the start, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I have a tournament set up in 4 live stream. If you haven't joined the team yet, please do. In Lead Chess, go and sign up for 4 live stream. 3 words, 4 live stream. Join that team and then play in the tournament at 9 o'clock for the purpose of playing games looking for either skewers, double checks, or trap pieces. And then we will use those games on Wednesday. I will scour through those games and hopefully find either examples of every one of those or opportunities missed or realized of every one of those. And we'll use that on Wednesday's stream. So, love to have you join the team. Thank you, Chris. And then I'd love to have you play in that tournament. And it'll be rated. It'll be fun. It's for you guys. I already set up the tournament. So, and that forces me to stop yakking at you guys at 9 o'clock. So I have to get this through by 9. We can finish early, but I got to finish by 9. All right, so we're looking at skewers, double check, and trapped pieces. Let's start with the skewer. So the skewer is, so we had the pin. We know that's where we're attacking a piece of usually lesser value than the piece that's behind it. And if you move that piece, you lose that thing of greater value. Or at least you could lose that piece of greater value. So that's a pin. And we said a discovered attack is when we're kind of pinning our own piece. So that we move our piece, we're attacking something of value. And it might not be of greater value. It might just be unprotected. So we'll do a few puzzles and we'll walk through a skewer. So if we look at this position right here, well, we don't really see many opportunities. But again, not even thinking about the skewer, what can we do? Well, we could throw a check in. Remember, chasing the king. You should look for the opportunity to play chase the king and chase the queen because good things might happen. So you always want to check for checks. So I am Gotham Chess. I am Levi Rolzman. He talks about it all the time. You want to do checks. You want to check for checks, captures, and or something else. So I agree. Look for checks. Make sure. Don't do checks just for doing checks. He doesn't say that, neither do I. But you want to look for checks as providing opportunities for tactics. And so we say, well, if we put our rook here, we'd attack the king. And the king would have to move because he can't take because the rook is protected by the queen. And when the king moves, which has to go here, always love it, by the way, not only if you can play chase the king, but if the king has to go to only one square, you want to start, well, maybe I can mate him or do something good. Well, that'll be a skewer. Why is that a skewer? Because I'm attacking something of greater value, and behind it is something of value that either is greater than the piece I'm attacking with, so I win the exchange, or it might be free, right? It might not be protected at all at that point. So you say, what do you mean you're skewering the king? Yeah, you're skewering the king because the king is worth more than the queen, but the queen is definitely worth more than the rook, right? So we're going to take the queen, obviously. All right, let's see if we can find this skewer. So white just moved, right? We like to see where our opponents moved. And white said, I'm going to stop these two rooks from talking to each other. Oh, okay. What is a skewer again? A skewer is attacking something of greater value to get something of lesser value. So if we take here, the rook has to take back because the king couldn't take back. And then look, we can skewer the king to an unprotected rook. Nice, because our opponent had a knight and two rooks against two rooks, and now we both have one rook and we have more pawns. We're winning the game. But even if we weren't, it would have been a good move. All right, can I skewer? Yes, this one's easy to see. Skewer the king to the bishop. And because it's a bishop and this king is one square away, that king cannot get to a position to protect the bishop. So we know we flat out win the bishop. If that king were here, barring the fact that he still can't go anywhere, but let's say this pawn were not here and this king were here, then that would be a skewer technically, but I can't win anything because the king would just move over here and end up protecting the bishop. But in this case, we not only get to attack the king, but we win material. So yes, the king probably should have taken the pawn. Don't know why the king moved over there. Remember, all these are from real games. So again, can I skewer? Well, yeah, right away, again, looking for checks. I could take here, queen take back, I take back, and then all these pawns come down here and I lose the game. But I could come over here and say check and skewer the king to the queen. Again, the king is worth more than the queen. If you didn't notice, every one of those skewers was with a king. King is worth more than any other piece. So again, look for those checks and opportunities. But here's one with a queen skewer. We can move here, attacking the queen. When the queen moves, it's important that the rook is worth more than the bishop and or that the rook is not protected. So that's another skewer. Checks, captures, and attacks. Thank you, Gido. So I said I would say hi to guys. Hey, Flavio, G-Dot host. Thank you. And yes, I can't always remember those. Thank you, LLMP, for the congrats. Thank you, everyone, for all the follows that we've had. We got the 2 that we needed for 50, like before I even started talking, which was really cool and fun. All right, so there's my hellos. We can get back to a few more practices for skewers. I'm hoping that we see more skewers that are not just kings in the front, but here's another one. Kings in front of the queen. So here you might say, well, why would I do that? Well, the queen is going to be running back, or, oh, well, I can win a full-out rook, right? So you might say, well, why am I not winning a full-out rook? A rook feels pretty good, and it does. I agree with you. I might take the rook, but you'd have to look and see how you're doing otherwise also. And so right now, white is up a whole piece. Taking the rook wouldn't get us back a whole piece because the queen could take here and we'd still be down a little bit. But nicety here is when the rook takes, guess what? The bishop gets to come back. So it's like a rubber band, right? Bishop goes up, bam, hits the queen and then runs back and takes the rook. So now if you look, we're up the exchange. So they have a bishop, we have a rook, so we're definitely ahead. Nice job on the skewer. So again, I see a king. Kings are such good pieces to skewer, and this queen, really I can't attack anyway. I can't go here, the bishop would take me off. I can't go here, the bishop would take me off. But I can go here. And once I go there, if the bishop were to have come there, we just take it, right? It's just free candy. So black doesn't want to give away free candy and make things worse. All right, this one looks a little bit tougher to see. But look, knight's unprotected. Again, it's always nice if you find unprotected pieces. This piece is protected by the knight, but only protected once. This rook is unprotected, but really hard to get to. So you want to look and see, well, that's an unprotected piece. Oh, wait, I have a check. And after the check, that unprotected piece is free candy. So that's how I find moves and how you can find moves. But you find them not just here. It's not just for practice. It's in the game you can find these moves, right? All right, so the queen is pinning. Here's a pin, pinning the knight to the king. We want to get our rook here and skewer that king to the queen. That's our goal. If we can skewer the king, we'd be happy campers. Now, I could take here and win the pawn and threaten to win a free bishop. So that's a great start, right? And I don't like taking with the rook because then the bishop takes and then we take and I have no skewer. So we're going to take with the bishop and see if we're right, and we are. And then we get the skewer that we were looking for. All right, so again, we'll just do one or two more, and then we'll move on to the double check or the trap piece. We'll see. I don't remember which one comes next on my list. So again, we're looking for opportunities to skewer. So king to the hand, nope. Better is king to the rook this way, because even if that rook were to be, like the king were to go here to be able to take back, we wouldn't care. We'd still be giving up the exchange and winning the exchange, so we would still do it. So that's skewer, right? Any questions about skewer, let me know. But let's move on to our next puzzles that we're going to be doing, which are, we're going to save LLMP, Spock's favorite. We're going to save the double check for last. So we're going to go with trap pieces. And I argue that while skewers do happen, obviously you saw a whole bunch of them in these puzzles, and you can get a whole bunch of puzzles on the trap pieces. I find trap pieces happens a lot at the beginner level. I've seen it happen even at higher levels, but it definitely happens at the beginner level. Trap pieces seems to be a natural thing that happens. All right, so we look and we see the bishop has bishop has no squares. What happens when a king has no squares? You check it, you win. If a king has no squares and he has no legal moves, it's stalemate. So a king being a trap piece is how you win the game usually, right? Checkmate involves a trapped piece, a king. That's checkmate. Okay, so this is just looking for another kind of trap piece and not normally a king. That's all. So get used to trap pieces because that's how you're going to end up winning most games. You're going to checkmate your opponent, trapping the king. But let's look for other traps. So this bishop can't move. So I want to move here, attack the bishop. Because if I take the bishop, it's checkmate. Yep, the king will be trapped. So we could go from trapping the bishop to trapping the king. So yes, my knight's hanging, but if he takes my knight after this move, I take his bishop. And that would be better than free candy. It would be the game. So he takes with the bishop. Now this was important. I needed to know that if he took the pawn, which is protected, that the knight, right, would no longer be hanging at the same time. We said it was protected already, so we get to win the piece. Nice. All right, let's see if we could find another trapped piece. So this queen, because of this pawn move, right, push. Hey, pass pawns want to be pushed. We talked about that too. That's a basic tenet, basic theory we work under, that pass pawns, gosh, they want to be pushed. And so we push them whenever we can. But you have to be careful when it ends up trapping your queen. Your queen has these squares, well, not these squares. The queen has these squares, and that's it. This one's protected by the rook. You have no free squares for that king except for these. And we can take away all of those free squares by putting our rook here. And the queen gave, this pawn stuck the queen so he didn't even have an escape square. Now we're up a full rook. And this is one of the reasons why people mark or believe that 2 rooks are worth 10 points, 5 each, and that the queen is only worth 9, or some say 9.5, because you can actually end up many times trading a rook for the queen and you still have another rook, right? If you trade a queen for a queen, they're both gone. But the rooks, there's 2 of them working together, and they have some power by working together. Now, queens are also extremely powerful. Depends on the end game, depends on the scenario, which one would be better. But right there, we saw a trapped queen. So again, we look at the queen. That pawn's covered. This square is covered by the same bishop. This square and this square is covered by the king. This square is covered by the pawn. So all we need is a way to attack the queen, that the queen can't take the attacking piece, and we can win a queen. So we have a trapped piece. And what does he do? He takes the piece of the greatest value, but we're happy. That's a great exchange. That's 4.5, 4, 5 points, depending on your outlook. All right, are there any trapped pieces? Wow, the queen is almost trapped. Queen could go here because the rook supports it. Queen can't go here, can't go here, can't go here, can't go here. So right now, this is the only square we see. Can't go there. Can go here and here. Any place else the queen can go? No. The queen has trapped itself. And more importantly, well, equally importantly, this bishop stops this pawn from also coming here. So guess what? We can attack along that diagonal, and it's protected. And so therefore, the queen had we took away both squares and attacked the queen at the same time. That bishop can be powerful. All right, trapped pieces. Now you might say, yeah, black's king looks pretty trapped. This rook is trapped, by the way. This rook, in my terminology, this rook is trapped and has no home. That rook is a goner. What else is trapped, though? This rook. The pawn's in his way, the pawn's in his way, and this pawn takes away both of those, and his own pawn is in the way. So at this point, you might be desperate. You might be thinking, I've lost this game. This game is over. What can I... Well, you can actually win the rook, right? You can win the rook. So do so, right? Yeah, right there. We got it. Oh, this looks like skewer material. But we know we're working on trap pieces. But boy, that looks like skewer material. Okay, but it's black to move anyway. Can we trap white's pieces is where we're shooting for. So this queen can't go here, can't go here, can't go here, can't go here or here. Wow. And why am I looking at the queen? Because it's all the way over here on the side of the board, unprotected, out, doing nasty stuff, but I think it's getting into trouble. The king is tucked away. I have a check, but that would be one of those checks that do nothing. I would check, and the king would move away. And I'm only threatening a bishop that's protected. But the queen is down to here. That's the only square I see for the queen. Queen has one square. Can I attack the queen and protect and stop this square? Because otherwise the queen gets to go here and runs away, right? Maybe. Or here. Look, from here, he could go to those 2 squares and be safe. Yeah, we could attack with the pawn. And the queen, because the bishop covers there, that queen had no place to go. No place to go. Nice. All right. Let's see if we can find another trap piece here. It doesn't always have to be the queen. It could be the king. I haven't seen a king puzzle yet, but it could be the king. So that could happen. But again, by the way, this pattern I'm about to show you is a very common checkmate pattern that you'll see players play very fast because they say, I can take away all of that, and look, all these squares are already blocked. The knight takes this square, the pawn takes this square, and that same bishop will cover all of those diagonals, and it's protected by the knight. So the queen, even now out in the middle of the board, I mean, think about it. Out in the middle of the board, this looks quite harmless. I mean, the queen took back the knight, right, when the knight traded or something, and you're like, this should be harmless. What? You know, what's wrong with this move? He's attacking the bishop and the pawn. He's breaking open the center. He's got, oh, look at this battery. Well, the problem is the queen is stuck in the middle. There's no move for the queen. So yeah, that's a win. So nice. All right, let's do two more, and then we'll go on to the famous double check, and then we'll look at some games and see if these occur in games, and then we'll let you guys do your tournament. And if you don't have enough, I'll play too. I try to usually just commentate. I like commentating on you guys' games, but also because I'm keeping an eye out for opportunities for us to use later. All right, so we see a weak pawn here, by the way. You know, if we're just looking for weaknesses, we're looking at a pawn that's attacked twice and protected twice, so that might even make you start thinking, can we do a remove the defender? But we also have this queen here. Wow, and this is one of those weird times. Look, all of these squares are covered by pawns. We know that at a glance, right? We know that at a glance. This one is covered by a bishop. This one is covered by a bishop. This one is covered by a pawn, a bishop, a rook. Yes, the queen also had that square. So one of the things for you to think about is this queen, again, is out here all by itself. Black has only one other piece developed. White has two pieces developed, queen, queen. So they're equally poorly developed, but the queen is all the way over here trying to start trouble in our area. Like, queen, what are you doing in our space? Can I attack the queen? So I could attack the queen this way, but then the queen runs back that way. Because we said he had no squares here, but he has all these squares, all these squares on that diagonal. But he doesn't have this square either, or this square, or this square. And he doesn't have this square. Huh. So this is the diagonal that we need to take away if we want to trap the queen. And nicely, the rook holds it, so we get to win a queen. And we said two more, so this is second of the two. So again, looking around, oh, that fork would be nice. Yes, yes, but there's a pawn there. Yeah, so that's not going to... Wait. Where's this queen going? Queen can't go here. I'm sorry. Queen can't go there. Queen can't take. Queen can't go there. One of those weird ones, right? Queen can't go to the back rank. Can't go to the back rank. Can't go here. Can't go here. Once again, this queen is totally trapped. And Black didn't even notice it, right? Because Black could have pushed this pawn to give his queen maybe a way to get away. He could have even sacrificed the rook so he'd have a square to go away. But instead he pushes this pawn, threatening the knight, figuring the knight moves, and then we get check, and we hope to win this game, right? But what he's missing is the queen is trapped. The queen had no place to go. And yes, he gets to take a knight for a pawn, but we just got a queen for a knight and a rook, and we'll win the pawn too. So we'll get a queen and a pawn for a knight and a rook. We're still quite happy with that trade. All right, so that is our trapped pieces. And for me, you'll see that a trapped piece doesn't always have to be one that you can take. Just the fact that you trap a piece sometimes is in itself a good play. If I can trap a piece off to the edge of the board or at home base, they don't even get out, right? Like if I could trap this rook back here because I have threats where this rook can never get out, that's one less piece you have as Black until we get to way into the end game, and you may never get to play it. And so many times you win attacking and being aggressive and combinations. You win and you checkmate the king before pieces that are trapped ever find a way back into the game. So yes, trapped pieces, if you can attack them, you can win the piece. The same way a trapped king, if you can attack it, is checkmate. But if you can trap a piece that is a dynamic piece, you have one more piece, hopefully, than your opponent, because hopefully your pieces are not trapped. All right, so trapping a piece doesn't always have to be for the purpose of winning the piece. All right, good. Before we go on the double check, let's just make sure I got all my hellos in because I didn't get to say hi at the beginning, which was planned because I always have trouble with that. Andreas, thanks for being here. Andreas. I got to learn how to pronounce that name. Thanks everyone for being here, by the way. Flavio, thanks again. LLMP Murph, there he is. The famous Murph. I'm going to make you famous Murph for no for other reason than that move, the Murphed pieces. I see them still. I see big, higher rated players, and I see beginners doing it all the time. So, and hello all to you guys that haven't followed, and that's fine. Happy to have you here. Happy to see you. I've tried some names maybe, but maybe you don't want to be known, so I won't say anything. If you chat, I'll chat back. But otherwise, I don't want to call you out and share your name. If you don't, maybe if you're going incognito, we'll keep it that way. Alrighty, Murph though, I have to call out because I love Murph. He's one of my favorite students. All right, so moving on to the last one. LLMP's favorite thing that he wanted to make sure that we covered, which is, hey Chris, I think I said hello. I hope I did, Chris. Which is the double check. And talk about something that's so powerful. And why is it powerful? If we move this rook here and say check, wow, look, it's a discovered attack on top of it. If we do the discovered check and this check, the king has only one thing. The king has to move. We'll be attacking the queen. That's like almost bonus for a double check, right? We don't care. We're going to try to kill the king. Well, the king has to move. The queen can't take the time to take the rook. The pawn can't take the rook. You can't block the queen here, right? You would have to find a way to block both. A lot of times it's impossible. So with this check, white has to move, and you get the free queen. Free queen. I said free. There was no trade. That queen is free candy. Now, doesn't mean that white doesn't have things that it can do, right? But it's starting to look like bad news. All right, let's try some more double check problems. And remember, all the problems on Lichess, I like. I feel like I'm marketing for Lichess, but really, I just like it. I like their mission, their vision, their purpose of bringing chess to everyone. So I kind of like that call to duty on that one. So good. Look, another discovered check, right? The bishop. So that means I can move my knight anywhere I want, including here. I can move my knight here and attack the bishop. But if I move my knight here and attack the bishop, I don't know what's going to happen. He could bring it back. I could just take it off. But I can also check here. And if I check here, it's a double check. So now the king has to move here. So I could still take the bishop. And we can always see what else we can get. Because right now I just won a pawn. Where the other way, I don't win a pawn. I could still win the bishop, but I wouldn't win a pawn. And so here I'd also be looking just to double check. Do I have a checkmate here? And no, I don't see a checkmate, so I'll take the piece. And why? What did he take there? Okay, he took the bishop, which was annoying. I can see him want to get rid of the bishop, but we just take back and we're fine. All right, double checks. Wow, knowing what we're looking for makes it easier to find. But even if I didn't know that, I have a discovered attack. And the best kind of discovered attack, discovered check. Once again, let's say I don't take the double check out of it. If I move my knight here thinking, oh, I can win the queen, check, and I win the queen. You don't win the queen because the queen can come over here and block the check. The queen can come over here and block the check. Everybody hopefully is following along. Black is up two, count them, two minor pieces. Black is killing white at the moment. So if I go here and say check, the queen just comes over, blocks the check. I don't win anything with my knight. But if I come here and say, well, I'm going to do a double check, or come here and say double check, because the knight would be checking and the queen would be checking. So let's check this one first. If I come here and say check, king has to move. It's a double check. King has to move. We know that. So the king moves, and I have nothing. I have nothing. But if I say check here, I still get double check. It's attacked 2 times, and black can do nothing about it. By the way, black could have been attacking this queen. He couldn't do anything about it because there's 2 pieces saying check, not 1, and therefore we get to take the queen. We still might be in trouble in that game, but hey, it's still better than where we were. So again, do I have a double check? So white just moved the rook. Wow, this is going to be, oh, here we go. Here we go. We could set it up by maybe taking with check here. Has to take back this way. All right, that's our start for what I'm looking for. Because I'm looking for, how am I going to get out of this trouble? Forgetting, even if it's a double check puzzle, the idea is I got to find a way to live. Got to find a way to live. I'm not even looking too hard because I'm looking and I don't see any other choices. But this might not be right. We'll find out. Oh, it is right. So now I'm thinking I could say check here. Good. Now, what do I do? Well, I want to make a queen. Yeah, and that'll be check. The rook could take me off, but I also have this check. The rook could take me off, but I have double check, which means game over. Game over. Now, can I make this a bishop and win? No, because then the king can go back up here into h1, right? Couldn't make it a bishop. It would have been a double check. Would have still been a double check, but then the king just stomps over here, and this queen can't go over here if that's just a bishop, because the rook would just take us off. But this is checkmate. Two queens working together, double check, checkmate, and both of the queens are in pre, meaning they're both hanging. They're both under attack. And it was forced. If we look at it again, it was all forced, right? The king had no choice. You have to take back, has to move up, and it's all forced. So best kind of combinations, right? Forced ones. Yeah, I agree. That is a funny one. Oh, yes. All right. You guys are now. I'm going to want to watch your guys' comments because you're just too humorous. So same problem. Look. So think about it. First of all, we're doing a double. We've done double check a couple of times with a discovered attack. Okay. So that was with discovered check. Now these two in a row, they're very familiar patterns. They're very much alike. You should know it, see it. You just saw it. But think about this one. This one is a trapped king, right? Why? How do we find this? The king has no squares, so we're going to look for any way to throw a check at him, right? So even if I'm not 100% sure, I need to throw a check at the king. And then I get to check the king again. And the king still has no squares whatsoever, and we get the same thing. So trapped piece led to double check, which led to checkmate. We've seen already discovered attacks as a mechanism for the double check, and now we just saw twice in the same setup, basically, with a trapped piece, right? And like we said, the king has to be trapped. So here's the most famous favorite trapped piece and double check together. Trapped piece and double check. Double check. Why? Because the king can't get out, right? And the knight holds it. And this knight also holds this square. But the most important part is because it's double check, white can't take the knight. And even if this queen, again, even if this queen were under attack, imagine this bishop being here, you can't take the queen because the knight checked you also. So what do? It's a trapped piece, guys. Trapped piece. The rook has to take back because the knight is protecting, and we get the famous and fun, quite sexy, smothered mate. Like that one a lot. Yes, LMP, smothered mate. All right, so let's see. Now, this pattern may not look as common, but you remembered, right? I mean, think about it. This looks a lot like another pattern we just saw. Hey, clever, how's it going? We get the check, and we get the double check. And the first check, white could do nothing because the queen blocked the rook from taking the pawn. That should look very familiar to you, to the same thing that happened in the corners when we won. You get the check in and push pawn, right? Pass pawns want to push. And think about it. This white could have a pawn here threatening checkmate, and it's not fast enough. Black gets to checkmate first with the two queens, both of them still in pre. All right. And we'll just do maybe two more of these. Yeah, we'll just do two more of these, but I'm enjoying these. So looking for double check. Looking for double check. I could take here with the pawn. That would be check, one check, and the queen would be a check. I can also take this way with the pawn, and that would be 2 checks. Problem with taking this way is the king takes here, and I don't have enough pieces to kill the king. Well, I kind of feel like if I go here, yeah, that king is, what is it? It's trapped. It's trapped. And because the bishop, long range, holds down the fort, we've got another piece. Sweet. So we've seen a lot of times with our double checks, it leads to checkmate because of a trapped king. We also saw that discovered checks lead to double checks. Great way to do a double check. What's the best piece to do that? It's a knight. Why is it a knight? Because the knight moves in a weird way that can check on that same diagonal. But any other piece you think about it, if it was already attacking the king in a discovered check or discovered attack, it would already be attacking, and it's not much of a discovered because it's just there were 2 of you attacking it. So the knight moves out of the way, discovering a diagonally attacking piece or a file or a row attacking piece, and can at the same time be attacking that piece from a different angle. So, all right, those are those. Let's look at 1 or 2 games real quick. So these are games that I played actually today. My club, we hold tournaments every day for beginners and for mostly for students, but actually the club is just open. We play, but we just have a lot of beginners. So here I am playing one of my students. She's only 1,075, and we're playing a 10 plus 5. So that makes it a serious game, right? 10 plus 5. Remember, 15 minute at the fastest, and 10 plus 5 will definitely get you up to 15 minutes if you play enough moves, and you don't have to play too many. So we always talk about that's not free candy because the queen could take back, but I would have loved it if she had taken, because then the queen would be a target that you could chase around, right? I know this is an opening, it's okay. I know that white can even do this and give away another pawn, but we're talking about somebody under 1,000, right? So under 1,000, we probably just want her to take. But what she got into trouble with is a trapped piece on move 3. So that knight has, out of 8 squares that it can go to, because it came towards the center, not one of them is safe. So we have a trapped piece on move 3. And you might say to me, oh, wow, how is she supposed to know that, right? Because you say don't, she followed the rules, she developed a piece. Now, yes, she developed a piece, but you have to be aware of threats and dangers when you're developing your pieces. And so she missed the fact that the knight was going to be chased around. So again, taking first, queen takes back, then knight attacks the queen would have been a nicer way to go. But regardless, on this move, she has to think about it and say, well, I guess I have to go here or go back, because if I go here after this pawn push, I have no place to go. She has to know she has no place to go. She can also do an in-between move, but then we'd have 2 pieces attacked by pawns, and that doesn't work. And that's why we don't do in-between moves as our first choice. So that was right at the beginning. She had a trapped piece in the middle of the board. So it can happen in many ways at many times. I don't remember if there was anything else in this game worth sharing as far as trapped pieces. So I'll just kind of fly through this a little bit and just see if we can find another trapped piece. Yes, we do end up with another trapped piece. So we get to here, the queen gets traded off, the rook comes in, and the rook is fine, right? The rook can go here, 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 and here. That rook has squares, so it's not anything near a trapped piece at the moment. King moves. I don't know why. That's okay. That's okay. We're not judging. We're just trying to learn. But here's where we get interesting. The rook has no longer a way to get out. That bishop move locks this rook in. Now, this is the only square for the rook. Can we take away that square from the rook? So the knight first comes here, and we're just looking for a chance to trade off because white is up a piece. Remember that free piece we trapped in the middle of the board. But can we take away that last square? Can we? Oh, yes, we can. So look, now the knight attacks the rook and hits both squares. So now that rook has no place to go because this bishop is in this way. So again, a trapped piece. Could we have left it there? Do you have to take it? Just the fact that it's trapped might be good enough. But of course, if you can take it and win something out of it, that's better, right? So you want to win it. Okay. And that game ended shortly thereafter. No worries. Here's another game. against Chess Wizard, another one of my students. Nice solid game, right? We're not doing. Remember, we're playing by the simple rules of not moving non-center pawns unless provoked, and so definitely felt provoked because he's threatening, and we don't. Okay, so we said, yeah, we're provoked. Let's go. Trade off those pieces. Got the normal pin, right? We're back to pinning. We got a pin, and so then we didn't double up the pawns, right? Decided not to double up the pawns at this point. Decided to keep the queen on the board. That's okay. We're looking for either skewers, trap pieces, or double checks. If you notice, what you're going to find is we're going to find trap pieces in every one of these games. I'm already giving that away. There will be trap pieces, but there aren't double checks to be had, and there aren't any skewers yet to be had. So again, what's the most common? It's not what you might have thought, skewers or something. Now this one, I love this move. Great move. King can't go back. King only has one square. We know the rook should be coming over next, right? And maybe if he had doubled up here first, right? Can he take the time to do this first? Because it looks like he's threatening here, but he's not. He's threatening checkmate, right? That would be gorgeous, right? Because if white just doesn't pay attention and thinks, oh, he's just doing this, what can I do? Because if I do block, that actually stops the checkmate too. But it doesn't stop him from taking the pawn. So what do? You might push it all the way. That stops the checkmate too. So I guess there's a lot of ways. And of course, the pawn might drop first. So it's interesting. But anyway, I just like the move. I love making the king run around. Now, we said it before, don't chase the king for nothing. So if black looked and said, oh, white just goes here, and then white goes here, because the white can't make the mistake of going here. It's illegal. So if white goes here and gets away, am I still good, right? Because if I'm not still good, then I shouldn't have done any of these checks, because if I don't like the positioning of my rooks, then why did I take the time to do it? Rook can't go here. You get a double attack by a lowly pawn. But anyway, let's keep going a little bit. So black says, I'm going to take up space. And now I have more space for my pieces. It feels good, but guess what? He missed the fact this bishop has no squares. So the bishop goes back, and now I consider this, and you might not, I consider this bishop trapped. Now he could try to break free. No question. He could break free. But right now he's trapped. He has to break free to get out. And so he's trapped. And so for the moment, black is down a piece. And this is a tight game. Equal material, doubled pawns, but otherwise same number of pawns, and rooks and kings over here trying to be exciting on the king side. And look at the difference. White's bishop gets into the game and immediately attacks a target that was thankfully just put there a moment ago. While black's bishop is out of the game for the rest of the game. That bishop does not get to look. The bishop does not get to play for the rest of the game. So I consider that bishop trapped or put in timeout, as Jazzy would say. One of my students, she would say, well, that bishop's in timeout. It was bad. Miss having Jazzy in class. Maybe next semester. All right. Last game, moving on. Another one by Chess Whiz. And he was killing me in this game, by the way. I did not play this game well at all. I was scared every which way I could be scared. And now I want you to take a look here, though. So his bishop, right, even back here. Okay, so this bishop has scope. It's hitting something. But this bishop, I consider this bishop trapped. We could also call it a sad piece, and we could just call it a bad piece. So this bishop is in, and it's my good bishop, right? It's black pawns, but this bishop is hitting on granite. It's stuck. And this bishop is not great, right? Way over here, side of the board, not really hitting anything. My biggest problem in this game is I needed to castle. Could have castled this way too. Either way would have been better than sitting here in the middle. Chess Wizard should have had me this game. I got lucky. I know there's no real luck in chess, but he missed some stuff. But anyway, so now we see, and we keep going. And now this bishop ends up being trapped, and you'll see it in a second. And again, he missed moves. He had winning moves, so Yes, you'll probably find him and tell us about it later. But look now, the pawn gets to push, and this bishop is going to be back here, trapped out of the game, dead weight, right? So look for opportunities to lock up your opponent's pieces. Just take them out of the game, okay? It will help you. So you look for trapping pieces. Still no double checks. I know LLMP will be disappointed. We still have no double checks. Not in any of this was there a double check. Okay, that's it for that. Let's take a look and see if we have. First of all, make sure I did actually create the tournament, which I feel confident I did. So we'll just make sure it's in there so you guys can play. Because I'd like you to have that opportunity. So for live stream, let's see what we have. We do have a Monday Lesson Arena. And the Monday Lesson Arena starts in 4 minutes and 41 seconds. We only have 2 of you in there. Chris, and Post Bologna. Thank you, Post Bologna. I'm glad you joined us. We need some more players. Again, you don't have to stay for the whole tournament. It's a 5+5. It's only an hour long. You can play one game and drop out if you like, but we'd love to have you play. If you guys don't, then I have to play, and I'll play also so that we have 3 in there. Thank you, Flavio, for joining. And again, I'm looking for you to be looking for, and I'll leave this up here. I will leave this up here. We're looking for skewers, double checks, trap pieces. Oh my, looking for all 3 of those. Any one of those is good. We're looking for those opportunities. Let's see, I don't see anybody asked to join the team. I think I made the team now where you don't even have to ask, because I don't think I ever gave Pulse Bologna an opportunity to join, so that means you guys are able to join automatically. It's in Lead Chess for live stream. Thank you, Chris, for putting the link in there again. Yeah, Anta Rios, you'd be the highest rated in there. You need to join that and play. Go out there and have some fun. But we're looking for opportunities to demonstrate skewers, double checks if you can find them. Skewers are going to be more common probably than double checks. And then the most common, believe it or not, that I've found so far in the games that I play with beginners are trapped pieces. Because I think we don't understand pawn structures as well. So a lot of times we end up with our pieces trapped. If you guys remembered a couple of weeks ago, I played a game against Modern Ancient, and he had his rook trapped on the 5th rank when we just had a bunch of pawns, ugly pawn islands, but that rook couldn't go anywhere. It got trapped up there. So look for opportunities. Rooks are fun things to trap. Knights can get trapped in corners and sides. Bishops can get trapped. All right, we got a nice turnout so far, so I will drop out and I will commentate on the games. I will be watching and we'll go between games, probably highlight the games that look the best, and we're going to look together and see if we can spot opportunities that they might not. Players don't always see them. This is a little bit of a faster time control, 5+5, but I want you to get in a few games before the hour would be up. So you're looking for skewers, and you guys might not see them, but we might see them, and we'll be able to comment on them. But also double checks, powerful thing. LLMP, I'm glad you had me do the double checks, because it's too powerful not to use, and they lead to smothered mates. You know, the classic smothered mate with the knight and the queen requires the double check to make it work, and so it's just a beautiful thing. And then trap pieces, like I said, even if you don't, as you saw those other examples I showed you in the games, you didn't necessarily win a piece. One time we won a rook with the trapped piece with the knight, but you don't have to win a piece all the time to take advantage of a trapped piece. Sometimes it's just that piece gets pushed out of the game and is not used, and so you have more active pieces on the board that's playing than your opponent does, because one of his pieces are trapped and out of play. So you guys know, next week we will be doing a massive review of all of these items up here, and we're going to be seeing if we can put them all together in some games, right? We'll play more games, because we're going to be trying to put it all together. Why are we looking for tactics? Because during the game, you miss tactics as a beginner. Stronger players don't miss them, and they will hurt you. So you want to spot them so you can avoid them, and you want to spot them and use them because they'll help you. And if you're looking for something, you have a better chance of finding it. Seek and ye shall find. You need to be looking for those opportunities. And if you're looking for those opportunities, remembering what they are, that's why you do puzzles. Don't do puzzles just to do puzzles and not think about what you're doing. do puzzles to recognize these patterns. And when you recognize the pattern in your games, take advantage of it and hit that mark, right? Take advantage of the opportunity. We want to find tactics and take the opportunity. Take advantage of those opportunities. All right, so this should be starting any moment. Any more? And Darius, you wanted to play, but you have to. Did you join the team? Did you follow the link Chris gave you down there? Chris, thanks again for helping out. Sign language for thank you. Thank you for helping out. I really appreciate it. So you can hit that link. You get to join the tournament. All right, we got our first game going. Let's take a look. And this one, so you guys know, because I'm going to leave this up here so you don't see who's playing. We're looking at Flavio and LLNP. And at this speed, Flavio is actually, they're pretty close. 1572, 1585. Very close. Very solid. So Flavio's doing, I'm liking it. He's playing the London system so far. Yes, he is. Which is just a solid developing center pawn only opening. Right? I gotta love it. I mean, it fits everything we're talking about. Now, queen pawn openings almost beg for c4, so he might throw that in there also. Let's see. I can probably bring up on my other screen the other game, and we can pop between the two. A little easier, but right now, nice game. 5+5. They're taking their time. They're developing their pieces. Let's see. Since there's only 4 playing, I'm going to try to throw in get another board going here. So I'll come back here until that tab wakes up. And we can watch, hopefully we could just bounce between them a little faster. There we go. Don't see any free candy. Do see an opportunity, not even to double, not even an opportunity to double up pawns. Can double up pawns here, which could be extremely dangerous if black chooses to castle this side. So I like it that black is not rushing off the castle with this setup here, waiting, biding his time. Got another, that would be really ugly if you take here, and then you have 2 pieces attacking that h7 square, right? So we definitely don't want that happening. So we're still waiting for my other board to wake up. All right, my other board woke up. So I'm gonna, my other tab, and let's go to see if we can have both games, and we can just flip a lot quicker between them. All right, so post Bologna, this is the post game, and we already have a knight out here. Look at this, knight out here threatening the bishop. And as you guys, if you're used to me, you know I'm going to want to see how we got there, right? So interesting setup. So I'm not crazy, and I'll work with, oh, post. Post I haven't worked with yet, so I don't know that I'll work with post. I would normally work with Chris. Not crazy about this because, right, it didn't really attack anything. Chris could have broke the rule, provoked, chase the bishop, and establish a very strong pawn center. But so far so good. Not crazy about this move either. In general, it's knight is off on the rim. Knights on the rim are mighty grim. And Chris is taking the opportunity with the provocation to push pawns and win a bishop. Free candy. So we talked about free candy, right? Free candy is critical. We don't want to give away free candy. And then he opens up and protects the bishop. And he's looking to possibly open. See, now he could have just totally destroyed the king side and been feeling really good about himself. And he still does. Look at this king now, wide open. Got to be a little careful, but most of the, we're down to just 2 pieces to do any attacking. So Chris is looking pretty good in this situation. And he develops another piece attacking the pawn. Again, no skewers. I didn't see any double checks. And I didn't see any trap pieces. But right now, Chris is using the other things that we talked about. Free candy was the first major piece. He had free candy. And then he took here, doubling the pawns and opening the king. So in-between move, he says, I know my knight's under attack. We talked about the in-between moves being dangerous. But if you're doing an in-between move where you also get to say check, it's usually safe enough. But you think about the queen comes here, then you're almost forced to trade. And after you trade, then you still got to move your knight, and now you're only up a knight. So this could have been done right away, but he didn't want to trap his queen, maybe. But he's got to be careful. He's giving post opportunities and encouraging post to attack. And so again, why do that, right? Why help your opponent build an attack? But I think he's okay overall. All right, let's go pop back to LLNP's game. we missed a bunch of moves here. So let's just stream through. We know the opening was pretty solid. Look at this, deciding to fianchetto the bishop and try to maybe get rid of that bishop. Nice. Oh, look at this. Just trades, 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 trades. Now he trades this way. Knight comes in. That was an interesting move because he could have just taken and doubled up the pawns. But Flavio decided not to trade knights. So it's an interesting choice, but he doubles up on it. Black says, I'm trading. You got doubled pawns. That's the only weakness. All the pawns are still on the board, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I miscounted somewhere. Black has had a whole piece. I don't know where I missed it. But black got ahead a whole piece. So let's see what happened here. Pins the knight, protects the knight. And the so this is a trap, a trick or trap that happens in the French a lot. And this is actually a French setup. But there's no pawn here, so it's not a French. But this happens in the French setup a lot, where if you have something here and you've pinned this knight and you've broken the pin, that knight could take it. If it's a pawn, he gets to take a free pawn. If it's a bishop, a knight, he gets to take a free piece. Why? Because he is going to win your bishop if you take back the knight. If you don't take back the knight and you take the bishop like Flavio did, he just returns that knight back. So I told you that later, in about 2 weeks, we're going to talk about tricks, traps, and tips for openings. I don't want to teach you to memorize openings, but there are things like this, patterns that happen in different openings. As you see, it's happening in this opening that is not a French, but I call it the French exchange. This French exchange happens many times, and black took with the knight. Now, no matter how white takes, if white takes this way, he gets to take here. So how could white do it? White needed to take with the pawn in this situation. If white took with the pawn, he'd have a fork on both of these pieces, and he would have avoided the French exchange. So he had a chance. And this happens tons. You know, when you think, oh, I made a mistake, there's almost always a way to get out of it, right? If you do it early enough. So if white just took with the pawn, it would have been a fork on both of these pieces. And yes, you could have taken the bishop, but now if you take the bishop, we take one of your pieces and we're equal. But Flavio missed that and went with the check. Went in the in-between move of the check, right? And maybe not in between. He sees that his bishop was hanging. And then black wisely takes back this way. So black ended up being up a whole piece. All right, that's how black ended up being a piece. And then if you look at this. So talking about understanding pawn structures, right? We don't want this. We don't want to weaken our pawn structure any more than we have to. We already have double pawns. We're already down material. But this move weakens the pawn structure immensely. Now, if there was a white bishop against you, it would even be worse. But there is a nice knight that can plop himself here and live here forever. He's like he took a condo for life, right? He didn't have to, he's not going to pay monthly. He bought the condo. It's his for life. Why? Because there's nothing to kick him out. You'd have to use your queen or a rook to kick him out. You don't have a bishop, you don't have a knight because you're down a piece, and now you only have a pawn. So what would have been better would have been to just move one square and restrict the knight so the knight can't do anything. Then the knight might have come here to try to attack this pawn, but much better than, right? Because the rook could protect, you could start doing stuff. But this pawn belonged here, if anywhere, to keep the knight out. But instead, Flavio invites the knight in, says, please come into my lair. And if that knight never takes that pawn, if that knight never moves, and he just sits here for the whole game, he's going to be a thorn in Flavio's side for the whole game. We get a check. We get a trade, which black is happy to do. We get a fork, a double attack. Remember that pawn was hanging. And unfortunately for white, he couldn't go here to protect it because the knight hit it. So he could have done this, and he should have done that, but he definitely doesn't want to do this, right? Even if he drops the pawn, it's a double pawn, but definitely doesn't want to fall into the fork, right? That's just bad. Okay, not bad. Good game, good game. Let's see how this one ended up in a checkmate. So that means another round is going to be starting. I want to catch up and see that other round, but let's just see real quick. We were back here. I believe, yes, we were here, but we already had a lost piece to Chris. Chris threw in the check, saved the knight, took the pawn, and repositioned and repositioned, and look at that, beautiful, nice attack. Look at that, coming along. Ooh, ooh, trapped piece almost. Look, the queen can't go here. The queen can't go there. Queen can go there and here, but the queen is like limiting its spaces. So black does not trade queens. Black says, nope, I can take another pawn. Or was that not even a pawn? Nope, just give me a check. And the rook moves over the block. Remember, there's multiple ways to do it. Could have moved over here, might have been safer, but we are involuntarily pinning our rook. So we voluntarily pin our rook. Chris takes a pawn, no problems. Rook moves over, which gives away another pawn, and that's dangerous. And now we're threatening checkmate and just missed, right? You had white had to do something like put the rook up here and force a trade. Had to, so the queen could take back. But yep, this is just falls for that. Doesn't fall for it, but missed that checkmating threat. So you got to see the threats, got to see what's going on those. Good job, Chris. Good job, Post. Appreciate the games. Let's jump back to the tournament. So we got to go back to the tournament. And the other games should have started because they pretty much start right away. So we have LL and Pre and Chris, and Post paused out. So Post isn't playing at the moment. So it would be great to have another player join. But again, I will join if we stay with missing and we don't have another player. But let's let Chris play first, and then Flavio can jump in, and let's just take a look from the beginning. All right, we have the French defense out of LL&P. Remember, he had the French exchange worked out for him, although his opponent did have a tactic to get out of it. This opening up to this point meets the criteria of only moving center pawns, and he is playing a variation that is fine, but it's not one that I'm teaching yet, and that's why I don't teach the French yet, because I want you guys just to play by the general principles. But this is fine. It's actually within the opening, and he's playing a fast game. I definitely don't mind him playing an opening that he knows, and he's 1581. So I also say if you're over 1300, feel free to play an opening, right? If you know an opening, feel free to use it to your heart's content. So this will be interesting. Chris has definitely some opportunities and some play here. He just has to find the moves that make sense. And this is where black has a little bit of an advantage if you do know the opening. So why I'm telling you not to study openings as a beginner, because I want you to become comfortable with the opening principles without the taxing extra baggage of having to memorize moves. Because unfortunately, you can definitely learn the concept behind an opening, the ideas behind an opening. But if you're really going to become good at an opening, guess what? You have to memorize the opening. And I don't want you memorizing moves because that's a lot of baggage. I'd much rather you understand the principles. Then we will go over some tips, tricks, and traps for specific openings. Then you hopefully by then will have played games with both d4 and e4 as white and played against e4 and d4 as black, and you will get a feel for what kind of situations you enjoy. Do you enjoy being an aggressive attacker? Do you enjoy counterpunching? Do you enjoy just having a solid setup and then looking for the smallest little advantage to take advantage of? How do you like to play? Based on how you enjoy playing, we can then find the right opening for your style. And there will be multiple openings for your style. But why start you off with just saying, hey, learn this opening, and it not meet your style, doesn't meet how you like to play, you don't like it, you're not going to enjoy it, you're going to feel uncomfortable the whole time. I don't want to do that to you. I want you to have fun and enjoy, and if you're playing an opening you enjoy and have fun with, guess what? You'll play better chess. So start off with just moving your center pawns, playing by the center principles if you're a beginner, and then also play with e4 and d4 openings, especially if you're a beginner. Use them both. Use both of those two openings, e4s and d4s. And then once you've built up some experience, not too much, you don't have to, 1 month of playing every day, you're going to be great. Then we can start talking about what style you like, and then we could pick out for you the right openings that meet those stylistic things that you enjoy playing. And you'll be ready to go. And we'll be on our way with you studying openings. All right, so we still don't have anyone else join the arena yet. Oh, and Post stopped. Hoping Post can come back. I don't know if he had something else to do or anything like that. Would love to have him. And let's see, did we miss? Yeah, we missed. So let's see what we missed. So the king moved over. Still got a pin, but no longer threatening this at any time. Looks like black decided to trade. Don't know if that was the best idea. Why not? Because the pin is still there, right? I don't know what the threat was that he was worried about, but the pin is still there. I would have loved to seen him develop his bishop. Need to develop the bishop. I would have even been okay with maybe pushing the pawn to just put pressure on the position. But I'm not crazy about simplification, except 1 pawn island, 2 pawn islands, 3 pawn islands. So we have 3 pawn islands versus 2. We have doubled pawns, so we have weaknesses to attack. Castles pins the knight, but it's protected. But now it's not pinned anymore either. Trades. Now, how do you take back? Ooh, questions. We're getting rid of pieces fast. So black has to decide the best way to take back, and he decides with the rook. I'm not saying one way is better than the other. I'm saying he took with the rook. Now that does keep the knight, making it a little hard, but not really, because he would take back and fix his pawns. So we do see that we get this one. And what do you want to do about it? Right? I mean, do you take? Fix his double pawns, and look at this. Your back rank is the bishop is still not developed. Bishop is still not developed. So this is the thing as beginners, why I tell you you need to be in this race and win this race of developing your pieces, because it's going to become annoying. Again, we're going to become annoyed by the position because our pieces are not fully developed, and we need to develop our pieces. And so, I'm not crazy about that one. Even though we get double attack, it doesn't matter. It just gets chased away. The reason I'm not crazy about this one is white was going to be threatening to win this open file, because black is going to have a hard time getting both pieces together because his rooks are no longer talking. So when he took with the rook, his rooks are no longer talking. So that's just a negative. So Chris goes for the knight, and black can just say, I'll protect it, and probably just should. So we'll see what happens. Oh, let's see if we have I think we have an invite, so give me a second. Yes, Andreas found it. I didn't know you needed to be in the team. I thought it was okay. Andreas, again, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. You can now join the tournament. I saw your request for an invite, so you are now in. So you should be able to join the tournament and get a game going. So let me get back to the tournament. And we still only have the one game going, but we will watch it. Oh, watch it. Let's watch it. I'm not watching it. Here we go. All right, somebody's already analyzing the game. Didn't think it was over. All right, let's see what. Oh, the game is over. So it looks like black fell for a back rank mate, right? Oh my goodness, back rank mates. You gotta be wary. So yep. I don't know what this is. So they're analyzing. Someone, Chris or Irv is Spock there is looking at the game, seeing what he did wrong, and it's just a back rank mate. Yeah, so that's hopefully something, and that knight was holding that square. And that's why if the bishop went here, it would release the rook to protect the back rank, and the bishop would have protected the knight. What's he doing here? I have no clue. He might be trying to come here, but he'd be losing material. And here doesn't work either because it's already protected. So really, this was just a really bad move, obviously, because it's a back rank mate. But this is a great lesson for LLMP, because hopefully he'll never fall for that again. And good job on Chris to find the opportunity. So good job, Chris. Good job, LLMP. Still looking for skewers, double checks, and other great attacking opportunities. So we have both games going on, so we can go back. Post rejoined. Excellent. I'm glad he could do it. So let's see. This is another game with LLNP, one of my favorite students. And yes, yeah, he's related. Sorry. So yeah, I give him extra love. But nice, nice. Okay, let's see what we have going here. So post, I'd love it if you keep attending our lessons and learn. I think you will definitely climb the rating ladder and just become a better player the more we play. And Flavio and Chris. So Andreas still hasn't joined yet, but that's okay. We got 2 games again going, so that's what we want. Let's see what happened. So Flavio again can do whatever he wants. He's playing the Sicilian, moving non-center pawns, but look at this nice setup he's gotten, and he's playing fine. And Chris says, put the question to the bishop, get out of town, please, before you get a second piece, right? Have to do it before he gets the second piece attacking. And this isn't really a pin because there's a pawn in the way. So there's no pin there. And Chris decides to trade. Now, Chris still has to develop his queen, but Black still has to develop the queen and castle. So Chris is definitely ahead in development, so I'm happy for him. He's doing a good job of that. He can do things like attack here, because then if the bishop takes here, then the rook can come here and win this pawn, and you just have to make sure the rook doesn't get trapped. Remember, trapped pieces is one of our things we're looking for today. So he does take, and he should, Chris shouldn't have to take too much time to realize how, well, first of all, his rook is under attack, right? So the rook is under attack, and he had no other square. So the rook has to go here. So it simplifies his thinking. He doesn't have to think deeply. He has to move the rook. And then he just has to see that he gets a pawn out of it, and we're into a very interesting game, right? I mean, both have a single pawn here. Otherwise, all the pawns are on the board. Very equal otherwise. Very equal game. All right, let's see what's happening in this game with the, looks like we got into some trouble. Post got into some trouble. So here it was a free pawn. Takes with the bishop, so he preserves his center pawn. The knight moves back attacking, right? And now we're attacking twice. And we get aggressive, take a pawn. Can win the pawn right back, by the way. Can win the pawn right back, but I don't know if it was, and this happens sometimes, mouse slips. So this looks like a mouse slip, but you wouldn't want to take with the queen anyway, right? Should just take with the knight, and you would have won back the pawn, and it would have been all cleared. All this would have gotten cleared up, and the queen would have been sitting here, and the knight would have been sitting here. The knight probably would have went back, and you would have had a very equal game, but down a pawn. Down a pawn. Just would have been down a pawn. So takes with the bishop, which is interesting, right? Because if he had taken with the knight, he would have had a double attack. He would have had a fork on the queen and the rook, and it would have been protected by the knight. Now the queen could have taken the knight could have taken the rook. But he decides for the check instead, and then he supports the knight, and he has both center pawns, so he owns the center, and he got where Black cannot castle, but otherwise he didn't win, and he won a pawn. He did win a second pawn, so he's up 2 pawns. Now we have a pawn that's under attack, and he just brings it back, which may have been a mistake because this pawn is under attack. He could have broken the rule at this point because he's far enough into the game and up 2 pawns. I could see him being provoked to push this pawn or to develop the knight. Either one would have protected the pawn, but he failed to protect the pawn, and his opponent is almost helping him by doing this but the pawn would still fall because it would be pinned, right? You wouldn't want to take it. But the problem is that's 2 pieces versus 1 protecting. So that's free candy, and white totally misses the free candy. This is just free candy, folks. Free candy. Now, why did white miss it? Because white is trying to set up a fork over here. He sees this fork, and he doesn't want to give it up. And sometimes we get too fixated on a threat. Way too fixated on a threat. And so what happens? He brings the bishop back and blocks. He also could have thrown in a check, but it wouldn't have done anything, right? That would have been a do-nothing check. It would have had a pawn chase you away. But here, it stops the bishop. It stops the knight from getting here. You had a free piece. You had a free piece, free candy, but he didn't take it hoping to get this one, right? So we can't do this hoping that they'll take here or make any other mistake and give us this fork we can't hope on that. Not when you have free candy in your hand. Take the free candy in the hand. It's worth two birds in the bush. So we get more development, we get the check, and we get the, right, as I told you, that kind of just inspires it. But you have now, but we have two pieces protecting. Again, the knight, that knight is so tricky. All right, and so we're right here at this point. Let's go check the other game out. It's gotten pretty far, but as we saw, it was pretty docile after the trade of the takes the pawn. Rook comes over, and white makes a grievous error, gives up a rook for a knight, and black does not miss. I'm not even a rook for a knight. That's just free rook. So white gave away a free rook. Could have traded it. Could have brought it all the way back, but white just missed the fact that this knight goes this direction, and that's free candy, and that's something we are going to be working with. We already are working with Chris on a degree to a degree on that, and we just need to work obviously more on it, right? All right. So now Chris is down a rook. What can he do? He can try to get, and look, black is trading everything and winning more free candy. And that was not a removing the defender at all. Let's see what happened there. Yes, it was. Look at this beautiful now. This queen is attacking, only protected once, but that queen is what we call overloaded. That queen is protecting both of these pieces. So with just simple trades that also attack the queen, so you can't ignore the trade. Watch this. Now he attacks the queen again, taking away the defender from this knight. So attacks, he has to take back, and he drops another piece. That is a great job, Flavio, of removing the defender. And it was like 3 to 4 move combination to remove the defender. That was excellent. Good vision. And we don't even know if Flavio saw the whole thing, but he definitely saw that, hey, he's up a whole rook. Let's just trade pieces, and that turns out to do the job for him. All right, let's jump back to LLMP's game and see what we missed. I wish I would just stay where I left, right? That would be so kind of it. I don't know how that can happen, but so let's go. White missed the free candy, didn't take it when he had it, and so now takes there, still not free candy, and he lost that opportunity that he had for the free candy before. And so now I hope it's not bothering him too much. Sometimes we get into a funk when we say, oh man, I had something and I blew it. I just gave it away. And he did, right? I mean, but look, has all his pawns. He has 3 pawns that are gone for black. So white is up 3 pawns. He has 2 pieces developed really far out there. He needs to get king safety, but white is definitely winning the game in space. But he just needs to play smart, and he needs to finish developing. This poor knight is out, and he's taking things. This bishop wants to get developed, and that's going to help him a little bit. And the knight now has to move. Knight doesn't have that many squares, as you can see, right? That's not a good square. So he could come here, and he is threatening the queen. A little tricky. Right? If you take the knight, you lose your queen. If you take my queen, my knight gets to come here. So white is simplifying, and that's why he took. That's what I'm going to assume. I would have liked it better if he just backed up and kept the bishop for the time being. But knights can be so tricky. So it's kind of nice to get him off the board and simplify the game if you're ahead. And he's ahead 3 pawns. Same way black over here is ahead a rook and a bishop now. He's up 2 pieces. So black is doing a good job of simplifying the game also. Chat's been very quiet, probably because most of you are actually playing that normally chats, so that's fine. So white's here, and so look, at least the passed pawn can create havoc, right? Because passed pawns want a queen. So look, black is spending time trying to figure out what to do about this passed pawn, and that's what you have to do. You have to find ways to give yourself opportunities. So white can't go to these squares. They're taken. So white's down to only 2 choices. So it shouldn't take white too long. You don't want to waste a lot of time. You just want to think about it, pick the right move, and go, because you don't have a lot of time, right? Clock is ticking. So let's go back to LLMP. Oh, arrows are still on the board. I hate it when the arrows... So LLMP is notorious for playing slow. And now it looks like post also takes takes a little time to move also. LNP is probably the worst as far as time control. So black could have traded queens right away and probably should have, because then he's just down a bad pawn position, but he has a nice bishop to get into the game. But instead he moved the queen over here. Why? I don't know, because this allows double pawns instead. It is protected though, but it's double pawns. He could have moved here and not been under an attack and attack a free pawn, and then that knight would have to move. But he has a great square, and he gets to get into that square right now. And he gets to fork, double attack. And now we clarify some, open up some situation here. And black unfortunately is low on time. White centralizes the knight and then gets a discovered attack fork. Double check, and a fork. So again, double checks by themselves don't win games, right? But a double check that also gets you a knight that's hanging is pretty good. And that's because of time trouble. And white is now setting up another discovered attack, which he can actually throw out there if he wants to. And he could get his knight activated, or better yet, here and then here, so that he has mate threats. He has mate threats shortly thereafter. King has to go here, has no choice. We get a check. He gets to come up, and then we don't get the checkmate. So maybe better was to put the knight here and keep the king trapped. Let the knight take back, and then you have a mate threat that he has to see. But still, 16 seconds. He's low on time. Chris is still trying to find a way to get some action here. So let's see what happened. Check. He moved. Bishop got out of the way. Queen said, no, I want to still take off your bishop if I can. And then Chris just moved back. Unfortunately, that rook was threatened. And at this point, you think he could have just taken the rook with check, by the way. With check. But Flavio is low on time, so maybe that's what kept him from seeing it. So he did attack the bishop, but you don't need to react if you have something of greater value to win. So he had that. Chris just needs to keep... yeah, see, dropping that pawn is going to hurt, because then black is going to be able to push his pawn at Chris. Right now, this pawn is just free candy. You should just take the pawn, because white can't take back, because you would take here. So, 29 seconds though. It's hard. It's hard to find the right moves when you're down in time. Time is hurting. Good. Get out of the check. That's probably important. It'll probably help for the future, possibly. And again, see, now he sees it. Now he sees it. But white can still take and still try to just. But you get 5 seconds back every move. So I have confidence Flavio is going to find the moves with the 5-second increment to help him. Ooh, look at this game. So yep, white is way ahead on this game. And the knight fell at some point, but you can see post is mostly because of time. When you're down to seconds, 10 seconds, it's really hard. Hey, Wins, thanks for following. Thanks, Bob Snipes, for following. I missed that one. Thank you, Bob Snipes. I appreciate the follow. And you guys don't know, we have made it over 50. You guys are helping to be a solid over 50. So, sometimes people drop following, and so I feel even more confident we're going to have a solid 50. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be dropping that follower goal, because we should have made it. And then once we make it, I don't need to track that goal anymore. And we're just going to keep teaching good chess, hopefully, and helping you guys. And please invite others to come. This is our concept day, where we introduce the concept. We are doing 3, as you can see up here. The bottom 3, the last one, is what we're doing today. We've done everything else above it, and now we're doing just the bottom 3. So skewers we're looking for, double checks, and we had a double check in this game, actually. And we're also looking for the trapped pieces, which happens every time almost you checkmate. You have to trap that king, but other pieces, and looking to trap them in the board early. So let's see if LNP's technique is solid, because this should be an easy ladder to perform. This should be next, and then the rook here, and then the queen back again. So that should be an easy ladder. Totally messed. Don't know what he's doing there, guys. So he must be planning to put this rook here. But he could have, as you saw, he could have just done the regular ladder. But this, yeah, that works. All right, good games, guys. Good games. Good games, both of you. All right, still got, and we have a checkmate in the middle of the board. All right, let's go back to the tournament then. There should be another game. You guys are four, and Darius hasn't joined yet. You're a pro. You can play, sure, but you need to join the tournament in this case to play. All right. Yeah, if you join the tournament, you have to join the team, and then you join the tournament, and then you can play. And if you're a pro, awesome for you. That's great. We work with beginners, but happy to have you. Happy to have you come and maybe hopefully demonstrate these 3 tactics that we're searching for in your games. Andreas is a pretty high-rated guy too, so he'd probably like it if you joined the tournament. He'd feel like he'd have somebody up there with his rating if you're a pro. So that would be good for both of you. But it's on VChess, and you have to do it that way. And Chris has given you the, he's given us a JPEG. What is that a JPEG of, Chris? Is that a position that we should look at? You're going to have to tell me. But there you go. There's the stream that you need. Or maybe he meant, oops, that he gave you the wrong thing there. Sorry. All right, so we have LLMP and Flavio. I think this is a rematch. I think they played earlier. And do we have another match going yet? Nope. It should be starting, hopefully, though. And we might have to wait for someone else to join. So, so far, so good. It looks like, again, another good developing game. Different opening styles going on, but I don't care. I do notice that Black is playing not standard, right? So if you're not going to move this, if you're going to move a non-center pawn without being provoked, I would have much rather be here if he had played d5, but that's okay. Black does get a solid center so far, and White has a nice setup. It looks like he's playing a King's Indian attack, and that normally means that we would break with e4 pretty soon to get into the King's Indian attack. Otherwise, everything looks like the King's Indian attack setup. Only difference is we haven't gotten an e4 yet, which normally should be out there by now. So this is an interesting play to play against. Look at these. Look at that classical kind of. Let me just rake those bishops. The only thing that's not classical is this knight sitting here and this pawn sitting in his way, because this is the best square for the knight. So again, if the pawn were here, the knight could go to its best square, and then that bishop might have had to go someplace else, but it does have other squares. So it's just interesting decisions by these players. Let's see, still only have that one game going, so we'll keep watching that one game. You sent a request. I don't see it yet. It takes a little bit sometimes for the team request to come in. Let me go double check that I don't have any showing. There it is. Okay, gotcha. Your name here is different than on Twitch. I take it this is you that just asked to join. Not 100% sure. We'll find out. But I believe I just put you in. All right, still looking for opportunities. Yes, you are. All right, so you should get a game pretty soon because there are 2 people waiting. There you go. You're in a game. Oh, no, you're not. It's Chris, and so you're still not in the game, but you'll get in the game next round. You definitely should get in the game next round if you join the tournament. Yep, you should get in. And if Andreas plays, then you might be getting in the game even sooner. All right, nice development, center pawns. I'm liking this game so far. Let's go back to the Flavio game. It's looking pretty interesting. So he did get the e4 move in, and we did get a trade of pawns, obviously. Right? Had a trade of pawns, I can tell that. Knight moved over here to try to take the bishop, which could be very scary for White, because if Black takes back, if he were to take, the rook gets to have a free lane at the king. And this pawn is going to keep this bishop out of the game for a while. And Black can castle queenside. This is going to be an exciting game. Not sure what that move was all about. at all. No idea. It wasn't under attack. It was undefended, but it wasn't under any attack. So not sure what he was thinking there. And now this square is open because the bishop moved. So we see that this square could be a target as well as this square. So now he's got two squares, and he ends up taking and freeing the bishop's diagonal now. But we have double pawns. So we have the only center pawn, and it's not isolated. So this is a very interesting game from a strategic positional understanding of the way the game is shaping up. So it should be fun. We'll see how that one goes. Let's go back to the Chris game with Post again. I like it. And you got, hey Chris, your rating's doing pretty good in at this speed. Your rating is 1359 for Lichess, and I know chess.com's ratings may be a little tighter or different or harder to come by, but it looks pretty good. You're doing well, Chris. And we knew you were definitely better than an 800 that you were showing normally, so you are climbing the ladder. Almost had the black white set up with the pawns, you know. Almost. If Chris had taken back with a pawn, we would have had that kind of strange arrangement of pawns. So this is a very interesting game. Both have two bishops. It looks like there are no pawns that have been traded. So we have one minor weakness of a double pawn in the center, which can get exchanged out probably pretty easily. And Chris is bringing out his queen early, which we know in general we shouldn't do. We want to bring out our minor piece. So that bishop should have come out first, but maybe Chris didn't see a good place for it. But that minor bishop wants to come out first, and this pawn really might want to be here to just own this square, right? Take away the square from the bishop and start some fun attacking. You have the bishop hitting this pawn. That pawn could just keep coming. So I would have liked it if that pawn was left with room to grow or left with room to attack. That would have been nice. Okay, Chris, you can sit out one and let the future world champ play. I'm surprised anyone tells anybody that they're the future world champ, but I have no reason not to believe you. It's just really, you know, it's very few. Only one person could be the world champ. Now, future world champ, we might have, you know, 5, 6, 7, or 8 in the next 10 years. Yeah, possible. Cool. Well, enjoy playing, hopefully. And again, this is for beginners, so, you know, unfortunately, a future world champ, this might not really be for you. This might not be for you. This might be way below your play. You'll probably be totally bored and be way too good for anybody in our little circle here that's learning how to play chess. But you're welcome. You know, we always welcome awesome, better players, professionals. You can definitely visit us and play with us, and we might learn from you. But I just want to give you fair warning up front that you might feel totally bored to death here, right? This just might be too easy for you. All right, Flavio hits and gets a exchange if he wants it. Looks like LLMP missed that tactic, which he should know that tactic. He used it the other day, if I remember correctly. Oh, look at this. Flavio says, no. I don't just want that. I want more for my money. I don't just want that. I want this. So Flavio had opportunities to possibly take first and get that pawn in here, but the knight was always watching. So that would be a little bit of a problem. So now black is down the exchange, but that's all. It's just an exchange. The game is not over, right? The game is not over. You got to play and play hard. But yeah, Flavio might have had some mating threats, but hey, the exchange is like nothing to sneeze at, right? The exchange is good stuff. So take the exchange when offered. And so now he has to decide where to go. Now black has to decide here or there. He can block with the queen. Yeah, that's feasible. Why don't I like it? The queen was holding the pawn. The knight was keeping the rook from coming in. I would have just liked stepping up, being more aggressive. If the rook came, you had the knight to take back. But hey, look at this. Look at this counterattacking going on, folks. Look at this counterattacking. Queen, rook battery, knight, bishop. Pawn can't move to protect itself because it's pinned. White wants to get this bishop in here and win that, but doesn't have the time to get the bishop in, especially because the pawn's hitting it. And black just has to figure out how to take this pawn. Does he take with the knight first or with the bishop? If he takes with the bishop, it's check. But if he takes with the knight, it's offering a discovered check. And guess which one is better? The discovered check will be better. In fact, he could get a double check. But he takes with the bishop. I think he should have taken with the knight, offering the discovered check. If the rook takes back, it's still pinned. See, now the king moves, and the bishop is pinned. So that's the difference in my eyes. He had a chance to get that knight here. Would have been so much more powerful. And the king couldn't even run over here. He would have had to just sit there and suffer. So yeah, I think the correct move was with the knight. Rook takes. Queen could have even had taken first if he wanted to. But he is really low on time. So trying to find the right move sometimes is hard, especially when you're low on time. So what does he do now, right? Okay, he goes for this fork, but that drops this piece, and so tough times ahead. But that's what happens when you're low on time. When you're low on time, it's hard to find the good moves. Let's see, this game is down to kings and pawns. So I don't know, we might have missed something exciting. We might have to take a look at that. Queen can actually take, bishop could take back, rook could take, and it'll be a rook and bishop against a rook and bishop, which would have worked for black because that would have gotten him, that'll get him back the exchange. So other choices to take here, and black pretty much has to take the rook, and he still gets a rook out of it. So looking good so far for white. This move might actually be better than it felt at first blush. And we get, and we're going to get a rook and bishop against a rook and bishop. 2 pawns, 2 pawns, 3 pawns, 3 pawns. It looks like black got back. He had lost the exchange, and he found a way, fought back, and now he's equalized, and he's looking okay. He's surviving with 38 seconds. So pretty exciting here. Oh, post, you can't go backwards. Post, you got to be going forward. You got to stop these pawns. So Chris has too many pawns coming at him. Don't know how we got into this situation. It's when we left it looked pretty equal-ish. Let's see, we're back here. Trade, trade, trades. Trade, trade, push, double up. Takes, trades. And so, yep, black is now up. And white instigated the trades. So that just hurt because now white's down material. And down more material. Yeah, this king can't take trips away, and we couldn't give away this pawn for free. Okay. Yep. So black should win that game unless something untoward happens. And oh, what happened here? Oh no. Black resigns. Black lost his rook somehow. Again, down on time, right? So if we look back here, at this point, I'd have to check how much time was left, but I thought he had enough time. He had like 28 seconds at this point. White moves here. It should be no threat, no worries. Better would have been just check. Check here. King has to come here. Check here. King can come here. And then the bishop can leave if you wanted to. Better would have been maybe just to stay here and protect the pawn. You have an equal game. Just bring the bishop back. Even use, well, I can't go there. Bring the bishop back, chase the rook away. Bring the bishop this way, chase the rook away. The rook here was a great square. Protects everything. Yeah, so black just didn't play the endgame fast enough and well enough. And obviously he ends up taking here when he got checked and lost a pawn, thought he was winning a pawn, and then he lost on time, trying to find a move to save himself. So yeah, didn't need to give away the pawns, didn't need to bring the rook down. I know we normally want to keep the king out of the game, but right now it was probably more important to protect the back pawns. And it was 3-on-3, 2-on-2. This definitely had the tendency, looked like it should have been a draw. So good game though, both of you. Good game, Flavio. Good game, LLNP. So we have 3 of you paused out, LLNP, Flavio, and we have our new player, which has not played enough games to be rated at this speed. Okay. And, yep, we ended up with a checkmate in that game. Okay, understandable. Let's see what we have going on in the tournament. Almost done with the tournament. So we get to see how well our future world champion is playing. Yeah, you should be tired after playing. Yeah, I did a post from LLMP. He showed me his watch, his smartwatch, Apple Watch or whatever, and it said that it gave him a warning because his heart rate got up to 120 beats per minute while sitting still for 10 minutes. Inactivity for 10 minutes, but your heart rate got up to 120. So yes, you should be tired after playing tough games. Yeah, 1400 is a good goal, Chris, and just keep working on your goals. I really like you getting to 1400 without studying openings first, because then you will jump immensely once you start looking at specific openings. This just shows that you're getting to understand the game and you're not giving away free candy as much, and that you're playing better chess. And so if you can do that, you will benefit. So Post needs to put the question to the bishop to give himself a chance of equalizing, right? Getting a bishop for the knight, because he missed the fact that his knight was pinned. And what do we want to do? Anytime we have a pinned piece, we want to pile up on it. So good job by, what are we calling you? Because your name here is totally different than your name there. I forget. Oh, Wins, our future world champ. Hey, the Potato Bites, thanks for joining us. Thanks for following. Really appreciate it. So Black's spending a lot of time, and really the right move is here to try to chase the bishop. That would have been the right move. And then if you're going to put the bishop here, why willingly double your pawns? Maybe so you can get the rook and see if you get some action. So we're still waiting to see if Black is. He says he's a professional player, and that people tell him he's the future world champ. So we're going to see. Thanks, Chris. Thanks. I don't know what I do with. I don't know how that works and what do you do with subscriptions, but I'm happy. I'm happy to be supported by you. That's great. But mostly I'm just happy to teach you guys and share. So as long as you're learning and you're enjoying this, I'm a happy camper. Subscription will be nice. You'll be the first, right? We're going to find a way to make sure you're the first that ever does, so I can always know that. But I appreciate it. But I'm hoping that everybody's learning and enjoying. And we have 7 minutes and 43 seconds left in the tournament. And this is the only game we have going on right now. The other 3 superstars have paused out, leaving Post to play our new player who hasn't played enough games on Lichess to have a solid rating yet, and a stable rating. And the time is ticking away. So good game so far. Again, if we go back and look at it from the beginning, we are playing the Royal Lopez, and then castles is fine. This move is okay, but this is forcing a fianchetto development, which is okay. I don't have a problem with it. But on this move, we have to know that the threat is to push again. So taking would be simpler, and the queen could take back, right? Because the knight is absolutely pinned. And then because the queen would take back, then you have to worry, I can't get my bishop here because the queen would just take me. And that's where you'd have to start looking at other options like the knight move. And that's why, again, this move is probably not the best start. Probably want to get this knight out. Could have even moved your bishop here first, but it's okay. But yeah, we have to take or put the question to the bishop. Because even if white takes and black takes back, white could have taken the queen and stopping black from castling. So that could have been bad, and then doubling up pawns. So positionally, we can't allow this and we can't allow this. So positionally, either one is bad for black. And we saw how that went to there, and so where are we at now? Okay, interesting pawn move. Let's see, was that before the bishop move? Yep, that's an interesting pawn move. Not a bad move at all, but just what I'll call interesting for the moment. And another interesting pawn move. So, and this one we really don't understand, besides maybe giving the bishop a place to go. Don't understand this move at all. So either you are a future world champ, like you said, or you're not, and you're one of us, and which is good. You can stick around either way, stick around. But yep, that's the only game that we have going, and we have 5 minutes, so just a little bit of time left. Oh, our founder badge. I'm gonna have to read the chat. Sorry, I got busy watching this game. Oh, you say you're not that great, but you'll be the future world champ. Awesome. Then we can all say we knew you when, which is cool, right? We all want to be able to say we knew you when. Yep, I think I agree, Flavio. Your game with LMP could have been a draw, probably should have been a draw, but time pressure did get to him. There's a founder badge Twitch has. I got to find out what that is. That's what I have on Modern's stream. Sorry, I can't play any more games. See you later, Flavio. Thanks for coming. I'm glad that you got tired, which means you played some good chess. And it pushed you, so that's good. Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me about the founders stream, the founders badge. By the way, Chris, I did a lot on the Discord channel. We have our own Discord channel for for my lessons now, and so we have places where you could give suggestions, and we have for questions, and if you want to sign up to do one of the private, not private, one of the one-on-one lessons. They're not private; they're on stream. It's about as unprivate as you can get. So we have a nice Discord channel. Chris kind of guided me to set up. So I'm going to have to start advertising that somewhere here. Hey, the Ultimate Wolf, thanks for following. Yes, but we're almost done with this stream tonight. We have 3 minutes. You need to join the team, which Chris can put out there faster than I can because mine takes up a lot of bandwidth doing this, so it'll take me longer to get that out there for you guys. There you go, Chris, thank you. So join that team first, the Ultimate Wolf. Join that team, and then you can join this tournament, which is almost out of time, but we do this every Monday after we lecture about a concept. You can play. And then we will also play on Fridays. You'll play against me, or we'll do a simul, or we'll let you play each other, so we have a lot of ways. Well, I do need the Nightbot. Do you know how I get the Nightbot? I got you, Flavio. I'm glad you stayed. But yeah, you guys got. I don't know how to do Nightbots. I gotta find out how to do that too. Oh, okay. And I don't know if that's something you get before you're an affiliate. You maybe because they don't give you much until you get affiliate. You don't get a lot. There's a lot lacking. So I'm thinking that might be the case also. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to tell me how to do it. I'll be happy to do it. Got to tell me how to do the Nightbot thing. And what exactly is it? Because I've seen it on others. I've seen one where you could set up a bot and it tells you like, oh, so and so is doing this tonight. I would love to be able to have when a new person comes in, the bot would tell you, we're doing the lecture tonight, introducing a new concept. I could get all that. Would be the bot would do that for me, so I don't have to watch the chat as tightly. And then I don't remember what the Nightbot does, but I've seen it on somebody else's. Okay, so if we can connect it to Discord, that'd be nice too. Sure. And it's just going to depend on how much bandwidth and stuff it takes up because I'm coming up with creative ways. Flavio would be proud of my using my computer background right a little bit. So like this above here for the first like 6, 7, 8 weeks of lessons was a Google Doc, and it was a live page that I was then capturing that screen capture and just thinking and talking to you guys. I said, you know what? I made that into a still picture, a JPEG, and it's on my hard drive, not on a Google Drive. So now I'm pointing to just a still picture, which does much better as far as taking up bandwidth and computer CPU cycles. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, Chris, help me. Tell me in the you can if you want to give me the details in the Discord after this is over, because we're almost done for the night, guys. We have 38 seconds left in this tournament. I haven't seen your request to join the for live stream team yet. Nope, still don't have it. So who was our last one was asking about it? I don't see you in there. The Ultimate Wolf, the Ultima Wolf. If you click on that link, I can get you in the team for the next time, and we'll get you set up for next time. Or you can wait till next time, but the sooner you join that, click that link, the faster we'll get you in there. All right, so Post is low on time again, as was LLMP. They both have time issues. But otherwise, looking like he's okay. It's a rook against, he's down a piece, but he's got some pawns. So it looks like a fun game. Yep. So wins, you need to play more games on Lee Chess so you can get a stable static rating so you know how good you are here too. But looks like fun. And the tournament technically is over, so this game will not count towards the tournament. It's not a big deal, right? I mean, we're not really doing the tournament to see if we can who wins the tournament, but we might as well know who did. So Flavio came in first, Chris came in second, and LLMP came in third. Nice job, everyone. And every one of you played 4 games. So, and you played each other, right? So you played an equal amount of games. Nice finish. Nice finish. And none of you were undefeated. Let's see. Flavio lost his first game and then went out winning the next 3. Chris lost the third game, won 3 out of 4. And LLMP won 2 out of 4. One loss. Good job. And we know time got you in trouble, but that's normal. That's normal. Post, still working. That's all right. No wins this tournament, but I'm feeling good that Post, you're going to be getting better, especially if you can join us and keep working with us. I'm expecting you to climb that ladder of wins, and then we can all learn together. I see Post... your comments in the chat, you're doing fine. You're getting better, and you will keep getting better. And Chris probably felt like he probably felt that way, like he was the punching bag for a long time, but now he's starting to win some games. But yeah, he would lose most of his games, but he's doing much better. He's learning too, so definitely there to be had. The improvements are there to be had. Oh, now you're both getting a little lower on time. Was that a pawn that you each just took? Yes, a pawn freeing the bishop and checkmate on 1. Look at that. There you go, Post. You're no longer the punching bag. You just won your game. Didn't count towards the tournament, but we all saw it. So nice finish. Nice finish. Yeah, good, Flavio. Yeah. Which positioning do you mean, though? Because if you don't care for it, I definitely don't want to be doing it. No. What do you mean by? Do you just mean like who's better than somebody else and thinking that way? Because I agree, it should be all of us are trying to improve, and I think of us as a community that's going to help each other improve. So yeah, if we want to feel that way. Yes, you will get more competitive, but you see, we want to get competitive against everybody else, like people that don't work with us in this community. So we'll get competitive against them. And that's where we'll have, hey, thanks, GD Host. They did play really well. We do want to have team battles, and we had one a week ago, and Chris and Chess Wizard teamed up with Chris, and I think we had one other person. So the team battles are really nice because we can have everybody from this stream play as a team against another team, and so you have that camaraderie of community, and you're cheering and rooting for each other that are here tonight. So no, he didn't play any of these games tonight, Chris, but all right, guys, I gotta go. Flavio, do you want to do your normal of finding us a good person to play? Oh yeah, okay. And that's good. Yeah, Flavio, I like that attitude. It is kind of nice, fun just to see, if you made it into the top. It's just fun. But you're right. What does it mean? It's not like you're winning money or anything, right? So, yep. But I want you guys to see your improvement going. I want to see you getting better each time, each lesson, each game, each tournament. I'm hoping you get better. Me too. I want to get better too. And so yeah, coming in first or anything doesn't really matter. You're right. Totally agree on that positioning. I like your thinking. That's why we all get along, because we all, I think, have the same kind of goals of just enjoying the game, getting better. So cool. Flavio, do you have someone that we should raid before we sign off tonight? Because we are done for the night, folks. Wednesday, 11 o'clock. By the way, everything is in the schedule. You can go to the About and schedule and see when we're up next, which is Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Oh, actually, I followed The Apprentice before, so that should work out fine. I've actually followed her before. Let's see. And I have, of course, the slowness now happens, right, because I'm here. It just happens. Okay, good. And it's the_apprentice, right? I believe I have that right. No, I don't think capitalization matters. Yeah, we tried Chess Dojo Live. We did that one last time, and it was kind of strange because he wasn't on camera for the longest time, and he had a game that had finished, and we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. So that was kind of weird. So let's do the. We've never rated The Apprentice, so let's raid The Apprentice. All three of us. I'm gonna go too, and just while I clean up the stream from this, so I'll jump over there too. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. See you Wednesday, hopefully.